TV coaxial cable typically has a characteristic impedance of 75 ohms, while the output impedance of an amateur radio is 50 ohms. So if you use a TV cable for amateur radio, there will be feeder losses. Ideal would be to use a cable like RG213 with characteristic impedance of 50 ohms. As a disclaimer, I was using TV cable for my solid state VU to VWN QRP and 3x807 hybrid QRO, both homebrew. But at that time, I did not have access to RG213. Moreover, as a rule, vacuum tubes were more tolerant to mismatches than the current day solid state devices. Though I never had my 807s going QRT, I had lost many BD137s which were used as final for the solid state QRP. I kept on replacing them and sometimes even cooling them with a small aluminum dish with ice kept over the BD139 as a homebrew heatsink. When I bought a VHF base station later, I could get RG213 cables. That VHF base station is working even today after 25 years, even though it has some snags, obviously, as it was kept idle for the past 10 years. There are methods described for matching 75 ohms cable to your 50 ohms radio. One method which I read was to use two pieces of coax, one of 75 ohms and another of 50 ohms between the 50 ohms radio and 74 ohms cable as a cotangent transformer. Both should be of 0.081 lambda length. The 75 ohms piece will go to the radio at one end and 50 ohms piece at the other end. The 50 ohms piece will connect the 75 ohms piece to 75 ohms antenna feed line. Another description was to use 1/3 length of 1/4 lambda 75 ohms cable and 50 ohms cable as matching section. On calculation, it will be 0.083 lambda sections, practically same as the previous method. As I have noted two such similar descriptions on the net, I am planning to try it out in my next antenna project using my spare TV feed line. Wonder whether anyone of you out there has tried it out. If so, I would like to listen your experience before trying out. Anyway, I'll be trying out with my old TM261 radio first and not my new IC2730 radio. Yet another option for matching was using multiples of half wavelengths of 75 ohms cable. In that description, it was mentioned that quarter wavelengths would present high impedance, while half wavelengths will present the same impedance as the input to the output. Same will occur at multiples of half wavelengths as well. If that works out well, then connecting a 50 ohms radio to 50 ohms antenna using exact multiple of half wavelengths of 75 ohms cable should be feasible. In both these matching methods, they have specified the wavelengths of the operating frequency. So I am not sure what will happen if I use 75 ohms cable with either of these matching for both VHF and UHF in a dual band antenna like a Moxon Yagi. Will it still work as usual UHF amateur radio band is on the third harmonic of VHF band? Concern is there for me for both TX and RX as my main operation is on LEO satellites. Any mismatch is likely to prevent me from hearing the already weak signals of LEO satellites.